Welcome. I'm pretty excited to actually finally have the time and the space to sit down and do a few little videos to kind of really look into the human design chart. These little videos are designed as a starting point. They are designed to be really, really basic and really short in time too, actually. I hope I keep to that as I go through. Just little bite-sized chunks that you can sort of reach in and grab onto and really start to understand your human design. So this is me. I am a projector. I am a splenic projector. I am also profile lines 1 and 3. So I'm like on the ground, researching everything, making sure that I've got all the information, doing it all so that then I can present it to you. I am a split definition, so I actually perform better when the energy works in my favor or I have other people's energy that I can kind of dive into. I'm really driven by success, and bitterness would be my deterrent. You can see here, like going down, that I'm a very smell person. Those of you who know me would know that. And then everything else really is a little bit confusing and doesn't really make sense. And that's what we're going to kind of look into. So if I jump over here into my body graph chart, we have two aspects for the first video. The first aspect is this beautiful picture here with all the little interactive little numbers, little shapes. Some are colored in, some are not colored in, some are connected, others are not connected. We're going to dive into actually understanding that. And then we're going to have a little look at all these little things on the side. You can see here that I've got like a little want more. We've got our little projector. We've got our little strategy. We've got our little split definition and all of this kind of information on the side. Right. So if this is your first time looking at the chart, then welcome to human design. You're going to love it. I love it. I hope you love it. It's not meant to be overwhelming. And you're supposed to be able to take just a little bit and use it and make it your own. Right? When we look at anything in the spiritual or the coaching zone, it's like a moment to learn, but a lifetime to master. And this essentially is this. Human design, they talk about living your design for 7 years and then having a different experience. So if you don't understand it or you in the first moment, hang in there. We kind of want to lean into it. And according to the ancient teachings, you want to lean into it for 7 years before you feel like you're actually on top of it. I'm hoping that that's not the case. And I definitely know with kinesiology that speeds it up massively. Right. So the first thing first is when I am looking into understanding my human design, you really want to start with what's written over here. This is like your check-off list, and you want to only go down the next step once you kind of understand it. So you want to start with your type, right? You want to start with the type. Once you understand what type you are, you go to strategy. Once you understand your strategy, you go to your inner authority, and then you'll understand your definitions next to your profile, incarnation cross, and then all the other things underneath that, right? Don't jump straight to the gene keys or the channels. Start with the basics up the top, and that's kind of your go-to checklist. I'm going to do a separate video on all of them and sort of lean into and show you your types and in compared to other types, your strategy compared to other strategies. So you can kind of get your head around the uniqueness and why it is pinpointing to being specifically you. So for this video, we've got our little core. We're coming to the picture and we're just understanding the basics on how to read it, what to look for, where to find. So to start with, we've got these white shapes, and we call, like, all the different shapes here are all called centers. The centers relate to your chakras, they relate to your meridian system, they relate to the energy centers within your body in both of our worlds. I always like to lean towards the I Chings because Chinese medicine is my main use within clinic. But that they ring true for both systems depending on which way you look into it. Right, so we've got them. If they are not coloured in, they are called open. You can see there that it's got the word open to start with, so that you can see that your chart is telling you whether it's open. And then you've got down here, and instead of being closed or coloured in, it's called defined, right? And that just means that it is specific to you, right? At a core, looking in, the bits that are coloured in are the things that are consistent for you. Doesn't matter what day it is or what stage of life it is, those things are still going to show up. They're still going to have an impact, and they're going to feel familiar. Where we have these open centers, that's like open to possibilities, open to environment, open to conditioning, open to what happened in our parenting and our upbringing, and we can really have an imprint in this, right? When I work with kinesiology, it's actually the open centers that I work with most, because that's when we pick up things that don't necessarily belong to us. And we want to lean into the things that are coloured in. They're the things that do belong to us, right? So when we're looking at deconditioning our design, we're actually looking into letting go of what was not meant for ours and to be open to new information, new experiences, new flow, right? And we come back to, well, what is designed for us? And then we kind of own that. And when we are stronger, it doesn't matter what's coloured in. There's no right or wrong, but when we own what is defined for us, then it gives us freedom to find flow, success, happiness, whatever we're using our human design chart for, relationships. Okay, so you can see here that I have technically more coloured in than not coloured in. I am very consistent in the way that I think, the way that I feel, the way that I show up within those centres. And I'm very, I would say, self-assured and have always been that. And that kind of makes sense to me. We then starting at the bottom. So we're starting like the chakras. If you start at the root chakra, that's our base, our safety and security, right? We're going from there up to our sacral, and that is our hormones, our energy, our drive. From there, we're actually splitting two different ways, right? So we have my coloured in over here is our splenic, and that would be the spleen meridian in the earth element. And then we have our solar plexus, which would be our stomach meridian within the traditional Chinese medicine, right? But our solar plexus. So we don't have a splenic chakra, but we definitely have a solar plexus chakra as we come in. Then we're going to go up and we go to our heart center. Some aspects is a G center, but it's a heart center and it's got a few aspects for it. Now, the fire element within your traditional Chinese medicine has got two meridians within, well, it's actually got four meridians. So you have your triple warmer and your cert sex and your heart and your small intestines. And all of that kind of together, where in our chakra system, we've got our heart and then we've got our minor heart, which would be our will center. For this is the love, passion, all the selves, self-assurance, self-worth, self-esteem, all those things are in the heart, love and connection, creativity, where this one here is your will center, your motivation. So it kind of more lines up with your small intestines and your triple warmer, like that drive, that digestion, and the motivation and drive to do that. Right, you can see here that mine are both defined, which is excellent. And then we go up to our throat center. The throat center is a little bit more than our throat center in our chakras. It is the way that our frequency comes out. And when we're looking at our chart, we really want to look at how things connect to the throat, to how we manifest, how we show up, and how we imprint or control or release that frequency, that aura effect. From there, we go up to our Anja, which is our third eye. when we think about brain and glands and all those driving aspects, that's where we're thinking about in there. And we go then to our crown chakra, or our connection to our source energy, right? Within that, we can see that we have 64 little numbers, right? There's 64 hexagrams of the I Chings. There's 64 little characteristics that relate to different aspects. There are 64 gene keys that have a little emotional and a little meaning imprint behind them. And that's kind of all we need to know at the moment. One of the things that you'll note is that both they are either coloured in or open. We have the ability to access all our gene keys. The ones that are coloured in, again, are the ones that consistently show up for you. And you can see here that we have, like I have the 7 here, right? And then it goes to 31, which is open, where here I've got the 13 and the 33, right? And so that we would call a channel. And the channels are the way that the energy flows. So if you're looking at my chart particularly, you can see I'm starting at the bottom. I've got a flow of energy to my splenic center. I have a flow of energy to my will center, and then my energy stops. And then I have my heart center, and I have a flow of energy up to my throat. And that it would be my split definition over here, right? So I need something or someone or a situation to be that bridge to then bring it up to my throat to release my frequency, right? I can access, we have transits and we have gates and all the stars, and at different points in time, different gene keys will be switched on. And I have a beautiful husband who actually has the gates that then connects me and allows that flow to happen. So the relationships and my kids, and I can imprint that and put that in there, right? That's just to note at the moment. That's like jumping in the deep end. We kind of just want to come back and know ourselves. So one more thing before we go, you can see here that you have your personality and then you have your design, right? So your personality is essentially what shows up and what showed up on the day of your birth. And then your design, which is like your unconscious conditioning, is what was imprinted 3 months before that. So the personality would be the things that I would probably be in the front of my mind, be a little bit more aware of. And the design aspect would be the things that are a little bit unconscious. I'd catch myself, and they're the things that we kind of balance more in kinesiology, the things that we have, but we don't actually recognize or understand why or how we have that, right? That is it in a little nutshell to start with, right? That's way too long, 13 minutes. So start with that, have a little look at your chart, and then when you're ready, the next one is going to be on your type and understanding what type you are. As always, I hope this helps.